is Rosal Cortez, and this is for my diversity and culture class from Dr. Joanna. The first question I wrote: the case of Nevada's University and Communities College system versus Farmer illustrates the gender inequality. It broke the Equal Pay Act by paying her less for equal work than a male employee with comparable qualification. I assume that the farmer should have been paid significantly more. I accept that the Supreme Court did not enter the case intending to rule in farmers' favor. We had laws in place to ensure that everyone followed them and that no one broke them. Since they will continue to insist that they did not violate any laws or rules, I am defending their decisions. I acknowledge that the university is attempting to improve diversity by recruiting an African American professor, and those they are entitled to a special law would they do so, but it is unacceptable to pay anyone less before because of their gender rather than their qualifications. I'm never sure why everyone keeps telling me not to tell anyone how much money I make, particularly among my peers. I had never given it much thought before I started working. I mean, my friend told me that he was fairly new to being a medical assistant but didn't complain when he was hired because it was his first medical assistant job. But when he got to know his coworkers, the majority of whom were female, and as soon as he realized that he was earning more than they would have always show their pay stub every pay period, which he didn't like because he would make him show his. But once he realized he was earning more, he never showed them his. He told me he was also curious whether his rate had improved when he arrived compared to the other workers' rates who had been a medical assistant for longer than he had. They were all shocked and demanded to meet with the manager or HR about the situation before they finally split my friend and he revealed his salary. They were all doing the same thing and same position, so he couldn't see why they would be paid less than he was, despite the fact that they were more experienced and had worked there for a long time. They also discovered that they recruited someone after him, and she wasn't paid the same as my friend was, which confirmed his suspicions that it wasn't fair. Companies should have a single pay rate for all employees, regardless of gender. Years of experience should be used to make these decisions. For question number two, the software industry is highly competitive company. I mean, Watchmark Comptonel did a fantastic job, but they want to develop and have a diverse workforce. They understand that the business would do well if it's owned by a larger company that is already well established and has many global connections. The company saw a few changes before being purchased by IBM. Their new name was Violent Corporation. Violent is a made-up brand that combines the brand properties of Watchmark, Comnitel Technologies, and Metrica software system, as well as essential aspects of the company's overall positionings. The company's moral obligations and duties, which come within the deontological category of ethical theories, are to offer outstanding service to its customer. On the other hand, the teleological ethical approach is concerned with the benefits that arises from focusing on the outcomes of a planned action. This method guarantees that the best or most successful decisions are taken. It considers that the bigger picture we're making a decisions. The ontological approaches are concerned with the process, while teleological approaches are actions oriented and connected to implementation. After that, the decision is made to go to the direction that offers the most net value for the least amount of money. By being purchased by IBM, they were forced to make a decision that was in the best interest of the company. IBM is a fantastic business that will build on its success. For question 3, it is easier to comply with diversity law in Canada because the number of businesses that comply with federal law is considerably smaller than the United States. Another important difference is that the federal government of Canada has less power than federal government of the United States, especially in terms of job regulation. Television, telecommunications, banking, railroads, airlines, shipping, other bridge transportation, and Crown Corporation are all industries controlled by the federal government under Canadian Constitution. Companies in which the government owns all the stock, such as the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. As a result, only 10% of Canadian jobs are covered by federal law, while remaining 90% are only protected by provincial or territorial laws. This simplifies the situation because companies are the only ones that must follow the laws. My question is whether it is being followed by provinces that have their own laws and are not required to follow federal law. Canadians develop employment equality to eliminate discrimination against women, disabled persons, and minorities. Women, Aboriginal peoples, people with disabilities, and visible minorities are the 4 protected groups created by the Canadians. Canadians also have a point of law that summarizes the federal jurisdiction's diversity law. The first is the Declaration of Human Rights. This is a section of the Canadian Constitution that is similar to the Bill of Rights in the United States. The second is the Canadian Human Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, gender, sexual orientation, disability status, and other factors. The third is the Canadian Employment Equity Act, which mandates employers to take proactive steps to improve the representation of 4 groups: women, Aboriginal peoples, persons with disability, and representative of visible minorities. Employers should comply with diversity by looking at the Canadian Employment Equity Act. It serves as reference to keep them from discriminating against the 4 specific classes. The fourth one, source of media as outlined in exercises and media diversity. I can't watch primetime TV shows because I don't have a cable or an antenna. Some of my favorite shows to watch are NCIS, Grey's Anatomy, House, and Criminal Minds. They're looking for a wide subset of the population ranging in age from 13 to 65 years old and older. Anyone under the age of 13 will either find NCIS and Criminal Minds boring or inappropriate because of the violence, or Grey's Anatomy and House will be disturbing and inappropriate because of the medical terminology used. Criminal Minds is a television program about crimes that happen to our different services. They are similar to the police in the Navy, Marines, Air Force, and Army. Its message is to look into the crimes that take place within those four locations. Grey's Anatomy is a fictionalized representation of what nurses and doctors could face when working in a hospital. While the drama aspect of is often exaggerated, it is just a series. House is a television show that focuses on diagnosis rare cases that may arise in person's life. Criminal minds are a frightening scenario that might happen to us, but we know that someone will be there to help us if it does. The commercial is appropriate for people of all ages. I will have commercials that I have recently seen because I am unable to watch advertisement in between shows. The most of the commercials I'm seeing are about coronavirus and how we can stop contracting it by staying at home, wearing a mask, and stay away from social this scenarios. Commercials that we are seeing, I believe, relate to people of all ages. I mean, I don't know anyone who hasn't heard about the coronavirus by this point. In the commercial that I have seen, politics is also a subject. Given that when it is election is coming up, the target audience for such commercials is people who are voting age. I won't get into politics, but our country desperately needs a fresh start and hopefully our new president will be good for our country. The insurance commercial is the last one that stands out. I'm pretty sure I've seen every single insurance ad out there. The people who owns properties and drive some kind of vehicles are the focus category for this. I'll never fully understand how much money is a big business spends on commercials, but I do understand that commercials aren't cheap and are one of the most effective ways to get message across. Thank you.